Get the unmissable news stories of the day.
This is the Beijing Hour.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Monday, May 11th, 2026. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, coming to you live from the Chinese capital. On today's program, the U.S. president's arriving in China this week for a state visit, discussing major issues of bilateral relations and global peace and development with the Chinese leader. The Tianzhou 10 cargo craft is rendezvoused with China's Tiangong Space Station. And health authorities in Spain say over 90 passengers and crew have now disembarked from the hantavirus-hit cruise ship. In business, China's consumer prices have posted moderate recovery numbers. In sports, China extends an impressive winning streak at the World Table Tennis Championships. In culture and entertainment, Shanghai's cooperation with Expo 2027 in Belgrade. Now the day's top stories. U.S. President Donald Trump will pay a state visit to China from Wednesday to Friday. China's foreign ministry said President Xi Jinping will exchange ideas with President Trump on major issues concerning bilateral relations and global peace and development. The ministry said head of state diplomacy plays an irreplaceable role in providing strategic guidance for China-U.S. relations. It said China is willing to work with the United States to uphold the spirit of equality, respect, and mutual benefit, to expand cooperation, manage differences, and inject greater stability and certainty into a turbulent world. Ahead of Trump's visit, Chinese Vice Premier He Feng is leading a delegation for economic and trade consultations with a U.S. team in Busan on Tuesday and Wednesday. This will be the first state visit to China by a U.S. president in 9 years. President Donald Trump paid a state visit in November of 2017 during his first term. The Chinese and U.S. heads of state have had many exchanges since Trump was elected again in 2024. Chinese President Xi Jinping congratulated him on the election win in November of that year. They had 3 phone conversations in January, June, and September the following year. The two leaders met face-to-face during the APEC Economic Leaders meeting in Busan in October 2025 and agreed to enhance cooperation in economic, trade, energy, and other fields, and to encourage more people-to-people exchanges. They also spoke on the phone in November and again in February. In the most recent phone talks, President Xi said the two sides should explore a path to get along and make 2026 a year where China and the U.S. move toward mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation. We spoke with Kenneth Quinn, who formerly served as the U.S. ambassador to Cambodia, about China-U.S. relations. Now President Emeritus of the World Food Prize Foundation, Quinn warned against rivalry, saying cooperation leads to more opportunities that benefit the two countries and the world. He also said the two sides can work together to achieve beyond their individual reach.
I believe the relationship is at kind of a critical point about which way are we going to go. There are some forces that are kind of pulling us apart, and there's other compelling needs that should be pulling us together. From statements made in the United States by various political figures that people in China, journalists, diplomats may say, it sounds like the U.S. want to be adversaries or view us as an adversary. And I worry very much that will take us in the wrong way, and that we need to find ways to be partners. And together, the two of them can do things that neither can do by himself, but putting our two countries together, the opportunities, I don't know that they're endless, but the opportunities are dramatically increased.
That was former U.S. Ambassador to Cambodia, Kenneth Quinn, advising China-U.S. cooperation instead of confrontation. In 1971, Judy Horfrost was the youngest member of the U.S. table tennis delegation that visited China as part of the ping pong diplomacy. She remains a dedicated bridge between the two nations, first through ping pong and now through a new sport. For the first time, Judy is leading a pickleball delegation to China, continuing the spirit of ping pong diplomacy with a game that originated in the United States. Li Yunqi spoke with her to discuss her hopes for cultural exchange and the upcoming U.S. presidential visit to China.
Back in 1971, you were the youngest member of the U.S. ping pong delegation, and now you're leading a pickleball one. Some of the members are around your age. 55 years ago.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
what would you like for them to experience the most and for them to take away from this visit?
Right. Well, it's wonderful for me to be here with young people. Like you said, I was here when I was 15 years old the first time. And it was a very impressionable age where I was really open to learning from a new culture. And it created in me the openness for all my life. And I'd like to see that with young people today. And so when we have this group here that we brought from Oregon, I love seeing China through their eyes because they're experiencing it for the first time. And I just can see their enthusiasm and their, all the aha moments where they're noticing something new and learning something new. And it just, it makes me feel good because I'm sharing that experience that I had with them. And it's really important that we pass this legacy of ping pong diplomacy, of people-to-people exchange, that we pass that on to the new generation.
President Trump is also visiting China.
Yes.
And would you have any expectation on this state visit that perhaps it will build more channels for and open more doors for communication?
It's really important in any relationship to have a face-to-face meeting and to discuss what we have in common, to discuss what issues that we have in common, discuss what we can do together cooperatively to work on our common interests. And that's what I expect, President Trump and President Xi Jinping to do when they visit here in China soon. So it's really important for them to meet and to be open-minded and to, and of course we all have our interests for our own countries, but even more so we have common interests. So I think that's a really good thing that they're meeting, and it's just what we're doing today. We're meeting our young people, are meeting the Chinese young people, and I do think there's a lot of similarities in the importance of developing those friendships and that trust and that cooperation.
That was Judy Horfrost with their expectations on youth exchanges between China and the U.S. Another pickleball exchange program took place about a year ago. 31 students from Montgomery County Public Schools visited China. Student and faculty representatives, including Ryan Corkery and Jeffrey Sullivan, shared their thoughts on how China's initiative to invite 58,000 young Americans is turning the sport into a dialogue across the Pacific.
The trip took in 3 cities: Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Beijing. For Ryan Corkery, the stop in Shenzhen was particularly memorable.
I saw that my partner Harry had posted a big paragraph on his WeChat moments. And that paragraph was saying how much fun he had, how us meeting in that day was one of the best days of his life. And we're riding back to the hotel on the bus, and I just start crying, and I was like, why am I crying? And it was just the impact of all these people that we've affected, and each of them, them smiling when they see me, that has a direct impact on me. Deep down, we all just want to have fun, we want to make friends, and we want to just experience something together, I think. We all just want to connect, and I think sports do a great job of forming a connection.
On his return to the U.S., Sullivan wrote a letter of gratitude to China's President Xi Jinping. In it, he praised President Xi's vision and initiative, which was announced in 2023, to bring 50,000 American students to China over a 5-year period.
It was my birthday. I woke up that morning and my WeChat, my phone was overwhelmed with messages. I was like, what just happened? And President Xi responded to our letter.
In his reply, President Xi said, "Thank you for your letter and congratulations on your successful visit to China. I am very pleased to see that the sport of pickleball has become a new bond for youth exchanges between China and the United States. The future of China-U.S. relations depends on the youth. I hope you will become a new generation of ambassadors for friendship between our two countries and make greater contributions to enhancing the friendship between our two peoples."
Just extremely honored that he would respond and acknowledge the impact of pickleball diplomacy and what our student ambassadors were able to experience and also the gratitude that we wanted to express to be able to hear that from him.
I think the fact that we got that letter from President of China, and I think that just speaks volumes to the impact of the trip.
The one thing that just sticks with me is how we're all the same.
That was a report about bringing people closer through sports. The upcoming meeting between the Chinese and U.S. leaders is seen as a potential boost for stability in global trade. That stability is key for Thailand, which is pushing to become Southeast Asia's electric vehicle hub. The industry's future depends not just on regional demand, but on the strength of global supply chains. Dusita Salkao has more.
Along Thailand's eastern seaboard, electric cars are rolling off assembly lines. Fast, quiet, and in growing numbers. By mid-morning, the lines inside these massive factories will have turned out dozens of cars, each destined for the roads across Southeast Asia. This is where Thailand's electric vehicle ambition is taking shape. The goal is clear. By 2030, 30% of vehicles produced in this country will be electric, built for a market that's close, expanding, and steadily shifting toward EVs. But there's a catch. This industry depends on a supply chain that stretches across borders, and tariffs, export controls, and political uncertainty make it harder.
Thailand is charging ahead in its bid to become Southeast Asia's EV hub. But the success of this industry lies in a delicate web of global connections, of complex supply chains where each part, each component needs to cross multiple borders before a car can ever hit the road.
And that makes Thailand's EV future highly sensitive to one relationship: China and the United States. The visit by US President Donald Trump to China could signal a stabilizing moment in one of the world's most important economic relationships. And that could open Thailand's factory floors to a broader global market, not just ASEAN.
Thailand has over 2,000 manufacturers in its own component supply chain. Therefore, in terms of quality, quantity, and logistics, I believe Thailand is the most important supply chain in ASEAN. Therefore, Thailand can export to various markets, including the Middle East, South America, the United States, and Europe.
Thailand's EV ambitions are not just about cars. They're about anchoring the country within the next generation of global manufacturing. That means staying connected to China's industrial might while remaining accessible to Western markets.
If China and the United States can negotiate, it will be a positive step. We are allies of both countries. Both countries have established bases in Thailand. So, I believe with our skilled labor and wages, we should be able to increase our export capacity to the world.
Back in Rayong, another electric vehicle rolls silently off the line, powering a reality that is impossible to ignore. Each car is more than just a product. It's the result of a global system working in harmony.
That was a report about Thailand reacting to China-US exchanges. Coming up, a resupply mission for China's Tiangong Space Station.
You've been listening to programs from CGTN Radio.
CGTN Radio.
We invite you to visit us online for more audio, pictures, and in-depth reports. At radio.cgtn.com, you can access a wide range of programs and find your favorite news, talk, features, entertainment shows, and podcasts. Hear the difference with CGTN Radio.
14 minutes past the hour. China's Tianzhou 10 cargo spacecraft has completed the rendezvous at the space station's Tianhe core module. Tianzhou 10 launched from the Wencheng spacecraft launch site in southern China on Monday morning, and Chen Yilin has more about the mission.
This mission actually comes with a pretty special 10 moment. First, this year marks 10 years since Wencheng spacecraft launch site carried out its very first launch. And by coincidence, that mission also used the Long March 7 rocket, the same rocket we are seeing today. Meanwhile, this is China's 10th Tianzhou cargo spacecraft. So 3 10s coming together in a single mission, which is why many people are here calling it a perfect 10 out of 10 launch. And now, while the launch has been officially declared a complete success, the mission itself is only getting underway. This time, Tianzhou 10 is carrying around 6.2 tons of supplies. That includes a new EVA spacesuit and an upgraded space treadmill designed to help taikonauts exercise in orbit. But one of the mission's biggest highlights is the scientific payloads on board. This time, Tianzhou 10 is transporting zebrafinch embryos, mouse embryos, and human embryo models. This spacecraft is also carrying a payload from Hong Kong University of Science and Technology for greenhouse gas monitoring. Notably, this mission will also mark the longest planned in-orbit stay for a Tianzhou cargo spacecraft, with the vehicle expected to remain docked for a year, and it will supply the upcoming Shenzhou 23 and Shenzhou 24 crews.
That was Chenny Lin on China's new space station supply mission. Tianzhou 10 was loaded with more than 220 items weighing nearly 6.2 metric tons. Zheng Zihao at the Astronaut Center of China says that included food that'll diversify the astronauts' menu.
Fresh fruits and vegetables such as apples, cherry tomatoes, green grapes, and flat peaches, as well as frozen beefsteaks and frozen chicken wings, will be delivered to orbit on this mission, enriching the menu variety and improving the in-orbit dining experience.
Supplies also included about 700 kilograms of propellant. Humanoid robots have tried their hand at making tea in Fujian province. After competing in a Beijing half marathon, the robots spent a week training to pick, transport, roast, and press tea leaves. Despite repeated failures, they completed the task. Engineers used motion capture to improve robotic fingers. The challenge is part of a promotion for the World Humanoid Robot Games in Beijing in August, where robots will demonstrate fine manipulation skills. The event will feature over 30 events that demonstrate the latest advancements in embodied intelligence and fine manipulation capabilities. Climate change is a key issue involving global participants. Many countries are exploring their renewable energy options now. One Chinese renewable energy company appears to be looking to work more closely with Canada on this. Nina DeVries has more from Ontario.
Renewable energy is the way of the future. That's according to the World Wind Energy Association. Its recent report shows in the first 6 months of 2025, global wind power installations added 63.7 more megawatts of new capacity compared to the same period in 2024. In China, wind hubs managed by artificial intelligence are producing clean energy at a fraction of the cost of coal. According to the CBC, a Shanghai-based company, Envision, the world's second largest manufacturer of wind turbines, has proposed this combination of wind power and AI as a model to help solve a looming energy crunch in remote parts of Canada.
Canada has a lot of catching up to do with countries like China when it comes to building out renewables like wind and solar on our electricity system.
And the Canadian Renewable Energy Association says solar, wind, and energy storage capacity will double in Canada by 2035. Still, experts say Canada has a long way to go when it comes to fighting the climate crisis.
We are behind when it comes to action on climate change and moving away from fossil fuels. So I think it's that change in our economy in Canada, away from fossil fuels and toward clean technologies, that will help Canada be a better actor on the global stage when it comes to climate change.
When it comes to using AI to manage wind turbines, experts say this can help reduce costs and yet keep efficiency high.
What AI can do is unify weather models and your wind turbine models. And now they can talk to each other and come up with energy extractions. You can have grid balancing. It becomes whole infrastructure, energy grid. Everything can be unified through your data.
Right now, an AI wind energy partnership between China and Canada remains at the proposal stage. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney met with China's Xi Jinping in January and expressed interest in China-Canada partnerships, adding that Canada wants to double the energy grid through investments such as wind and solar power over the next 15 years.
That was Nina DeVries reporting. Coming up, scores of passengers and crew members have now disembarked the hantavirus-hit cruise ship.
Want to learn about world affairs in a more laid-back and accessible manner? Join insiders, experts, and analysts in the casual setting of the Chat Lounge to hear their personal experiences and opinions on major events and hot issues. Subscribe to Chat Lounge for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
At 20 minutes past the hour. Spanish Health Minister Monica Garcia says 94 people of 19 nationalities disembarked the hantavirus cruise ship on the first day of evacuations. Some of them have taken chartered flights back to their countries. The ship arrived in Tenerife early Sunday. There were 8 cases on board. 6 were confirmed as the Andes strain that's capable of human-to-human transmission. 3 people have died. Garcia said a French national developed symptoms during the flight home. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services said out of 17 Americans, 1 has mild symptoms and another tested positive for the virus. The World Health Organization's advised 42-day monitoring for all people coming off that cruise ship. The WHO categorized everyone on board as a high-risk contact, but said the risk to the public is low. Ken Brown has more from Tenerife.
Passengers had their temperatures taken and filled out a health survey. Officials from individual countries carried out their own health checks, and passengers then put on masks and protective suits, getting onto small boats in groups of 7. Some waved, others took pictures of the dozens of international media lined up to catch the moment. On arrival at the dock, it was straight onto the Spanish military buses, waiting to whisk them directly to the South Tenerife airport, a 10-minute drive away. And from there, repatriation. One WHO official told CGTN he was pleased with what he saw.
This has been an extremely cooperative, collegial international effort.
The WHO is advising a 6-week isolation period, but quarantine will depend on each individual country. Notably, the United States is the only one choosing not to impose a mandatory isolation period on its citizens. I asked Dr. Ghebreyesus, the head of the WHO, for his response.
Of course, countries, we advise them, but at the end of the day, we don't impose.
And on Monday evening, we may see the final plane leave Tenerife, likely carrying New Zealand and Australian citizens. Then the MV Hondius will set a course for home in the Netherlands, bringing an ill-fated journey to a welcome stop.
That was Ken Brown reporting. British Army medics have parachuted into the remote South Atlantic territory of Tristan da Cunha after a resident there showed symptoms of hantavirus. The patient was a passenger on the cruise ship MV Hondius and disembarked last month. Toby Elkington with 16 Medical Regiment emphasized balancing patient care with public health. He also stressed isolating suspected cases to prevent spread, even without confirmed test results, or remaining vigilant for delayed symptoms.
Obviously, the immediate concerns from a medical perspective, dealing with high-consequence infectious disease patients, is limiting spread and taking care of isolation and not endangering others. We have patients to care for, or a patient to care for, and that is a very high priority, but we have to keep thinking about the public health elements involved here, and that's playing on the forefront of my mind at the moment.
The UK Defence Ministry said 6 paratroopers and 2 clinicians jumped from a Royal Air Force plane, which also dropped oxygen and medical equipment. And for more on the hantavirus outbreak, we spoke with Forbes senior public health contributor Dr. Omer Awan. He said that while the virus is deadly, it is far less threatening than COVID-19.
It spreads very differently. Yes, it does require person-to-person contact, but it's not like COVID, because in COVID, we saw that it was an airborne disease that can spread even across rooms through ventilation systems. That's not how the Andes strain spreads. It usually requires close contact. The other aspect of this that I want to inform all of you guys is that its ability to change or mutate isn't very good compared to COVID. Remember, if you think back to the pandemic, there were a lot of variants. It was changing constantly, and that made it very difficult to contain and allowed it to spread very effectively. That's not true with the Andes strain. It doesn't spread as efficiently, and the virus, from what we know, stays very stable over time. And then finally, I think what's important to talk about here is that the COVID-19 was very novel. It was a new virus that we weren't familiar with in 2019, 2020. This Andes strain has been around for decades, so there has been some level of basic immunity that exists among people already, which also makes it less likely to spread.
The physician added that he's optimistic about the response, such as information updates and contact tracing to limit the risk. Iranian media says Tehran's rejected the U.S. ceasefire proposal, calling it tantamount to surrender, and instead demanding an end to the war. Tehran's latest draft proposal for talks with the United States reportedly calls for an immediate cessation of conflict on all fronts and a guarantee for no more aggression. It also demands a 30-day window for rescinding U.S. sanctions on Iranian oil sales and the release of frozen Iranian assets. Iran and the United States reached a ceasefire last month, followed by talks in Pakistan that ended without a deal. A standoff in the Strait of Hormuz then began, with both sides claiming control of the international energy waterway. U.S. President Donald Trump says Iran's response to Washington's plan is unacceptable. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Iran needs to make it clear that they do not seek a nuclear weapon, which Washington sees as crucial to a peace deal. Jim Spellman reports from Washington.
U.S. President Donald Trump reacted to the Iranian response by posting on social media, in part, quote, "I don't like it, totally unacceptable." Appearing on ABC News, Trump's ambassador to the UN says full-blown hostilities could resume if an agreement isn't reached.
And the mediators, in this case Pakistan, ask us, head of state to head of state, to give this negotiation another chance before we go back to bombing Iran, then I think that's completely an appropriate choice for President Trump to make. He is giving diplomacy every chance we possibly can before going back to hostilities, but he's absolutely prepared to do that.
The Trump administration says stopping Iran from having a nuclear weapon is its top priority. Iran has indicated it is open to reopening the Strait of Hormuz if the U.S. permanently ends its military actions. Meantime, here in the U.S., Trump is facing criticism over his handling of the war, and many Democrats are skeptical about negotiations.
This conflict has been a massive disaster, and Donald Trump himself is an embarrassment on the world stage. I hear it from allies all around the world. He has got us into a trap, and we're effectively in a stalemate with Iran. And the people that are paying the price is American military, hundreds injured, 14 lives lost, and the American people collectively were spending billions of dollars more in the price spikes that we've seen as a result of this.
That was a report on the conflict between the U.S. and Iran. French President Emmanuel Macron says France has no plans to deploy warships in the Strait of Hormuz. Speaking in Kenya, he clarified that France is instead leading a joint mission with Britain and 50 other countries to coordinate with Iran and the U.S. to ensure safe maritime traffic and global supplies of food and fuel.
We have never considered, and I invite you to review all my statements since day one, carrying out a deployment to reopen Hormuz by force. That has never been France's option. From the very beginning, we have said one very simple thing: freedom of navigation. To put an end to any blockade, wherever it comes from and whatever form it takes. To reject any tolls, wherever they come from, and to ensure freedom of navigation.
The French president urged de-escalation, criticizing verbal clashes, fuel violence. He also called for calm, the peaceful reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, and resuming nuclear and ballistic talks within an appropriate framework. The European Union's Climate Monitoring Network says El Niño conditions pushed global ocean temperatures to near record highs in April. The Copernicus Climate Change Service reported the second warmest sea surface temperatures for extrapolar oceans, behind only April of 2024. Large parts of the tropical Pacific saw record heat and strong marine heat waves. Global air temperatures hit nearly 14.9 degrees Celsius, and that's over 1.4 degrees above pre-industrial levels. Scientists say this adds to clear signs of sustained global warming.
Post Plus, a selection of the best podcasts in China, covering history, customs, music, literature, and in-depth dialogues. Find your way to a wealth of Chinese culture and thinking, all on Post Plus.
We're at 29 past the hour. Beijing cloudy and down to 16 tonight. It's sunny and 31 on Tuesday. Shanghai will be cloudy through tomorrow, a low of 20, a high of 31. Chongqing will be overcast and down to 20, followed by a light rainfall and 26. Nanchung's cloudy tonight and tomorrow, a low of 19, a high of 30. Lhasa will be cloudy tonight and tomorrow with a low of +4. The high is 22 degrees. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad's getting moderate rainfall on 22 this evening, followed by a light rain in 34. Vientiane will see a light rain overnight, and tomorrow a low of 25. The high is 35. Phnom Penh will see some overcast skies in 26 this evening, followed by a light rain in 36. It's time for a short break. So far this hour, the U.S. president's arriving in China this week for a state visit, discussing major issues of bilateral relations and global peace and development with the Chinese leader. The Tianzhou 10 cargo craft is rendezvoused with China's Tiangong Space Station. And health authorities in Spain say over 90 passengers and crew have now disembarked from the hantavirus hit cruise ship. Shane Bigham with you. Stay with us here on the Beijing Hour.
From the refreshing cup of tea that starts your morning to the paper that you write on, the roots of many familiar parts of modern life can be traced back to ancient ideas. Join us on Made in Ancient China and discover how ideas born millennia ago became some of the world's greatest treasures. Made in Ancient China brings you stories of human ambition, inspiration, and connection. Now available on all major podcast platforms. Shh, listen up.
Can you hear the heartbeat of our world? It's vibrant and pulsating with the essence of life itself. From the stem of trees to the gurgle of rivers. From the silent strength of mountains to the icy whispers of glaciers. Even the solid ground beneath our feet. Right there, in the midst of all, beats the heart of humanity. What if those other heartbeats were to stop? Would ours keep on ticking?
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Monday. Still to come. In business, China's consumer prices have posted moderate recovery numbers. In sports, China extends an impressive winning streak at the World Table Tennis Championships. In culture and entertainment, Shanghai's cooperation with Expo 2027 in Belgrade. To contact us, you can email radio@cgtn.com or follow our X account @CGTN Radio. But now with the check of the day's headlines, here's Tianli.
Thank you, Shane. China says U.S. President Donald Trump will pay a state visit to China between Wednesday and Friday. Meanwhile, the Chinese Commerce Ministry says Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng will lead a delegation to South Korea between Tuesday and Wednesday for economic and trade consultations with the United States. The ministry says the talks were arranged by mutual agreement between China and the United States. Both sides will follow the important consensus reached by the two heads of state during their meeting in Busan and previous phone calls. The consultations will focus on economic and trade issues of mutual concern. Tajik President Emomali Rahman is in Beijing for a state visit to China until Thursday. The Crown Prince of Brunei is also in the Chinese capital for an official visit. Prince Haji Al Mahtadi Billah's visit runs through Friday. The visit comes as the two countries celebrate the 35th anniversary of diplomatic ties. The Spanish health minister has confirmed that the first day of evacuations from a hantavirus-hit cruise ship docked in the Canary Islands went well. Monica Garcia said 94 people from 19 nationalities have disembarked according to plan.
The operation has gone well, and according to the plan, we have disembarked 94 people of 19 nationalities, 7 flights with 8 nationalities and 1 with 11 nationalities. The flight of Netherlands, and one of the French citizens has had mild symptoms during the flight, and the French authorities will proceed to implement their control and their protocol.
World Health Organization Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus noted that while some elderly passengers may show symptoms, these could be due to chronic conditions rather than hantavirus.
Of course, there could be symptoms, but it may not be even associated with hantavirus. Of course, it should be checked. But with age comes many health challenges. That was actually one of the concerns we had with this ship, because many of them are elderly and they have many other chronic conditions, and there could be symptoms associated with those. So there are symptoms. It doesn't mean that it's related to hantavirus, but of course it may also be.
The Director General arrived Saturday to coordinate the operation and reassured residents that the virus is not another COVID. The operation continues as officials work to safely evacuate the remaining passengers and crew from the vessel. French President Emmanuel Macron is in Kenya as part of an African visit. He's in Nairobi also for the Africa Forward Summit, which begins Monday. The event marks the first time an Africa-France Partnership Summit is being held in a non-francophone country. Kenya President William Ruto says the summit will boost economic cooperation and development for Africa.
We also agreed that the Africa-France Summit must move beyond dialogue to implementation, with a clear focus on investment, innovation, and partnerships that deliver measurable results. We are confident that the outcomes of this summit will strengthen economic cooperation, mobilize financing, and support Africa's development priorities.
The two-day event attracts about 30 heads of state and government alongside thousands of global delegates. French President Emmanuel Macron has signed a law simplifying the return of cultural property acquired through illicit means, such as looting or forced sales between 1815 and 1972. The law excludes military items and certain archaeological objects. Previously, France required case-by-case legislation for returns. The French Senate approved the draft law on Thursday with 343 votes in favor and none against, following a unanimous vote in the National Assembly on Wednesday.
Thank you very much. That's Tian Lu with headlines. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in business, China's consumer prices have posted moderate recovery numbers.
The Beijing Hour, your window on China and the rest of the world.
At 36 past the hour and turning to business, here's Tian Yu.
Thank you, Shane. Stock markets on the Chinese mainland closed higher on Monday. The Shanghai Composite was up nearly 1.1%, while the Shenzhen Component gained almost 2.2%. Semiconductor and engineering machinery shares were among the top gainers. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index remained almost flat. Japan's Nikkei declined nearly 0.5%. China's consumer price index maintained its moderate recovery in April, rising 1.2% on a yearly basis. Core CPI, which excludes food and energy, also rose 1.2%. The country's producer price index climbed 2.8% from a year ago. On a monthly basis, the PPI gained 1.7%. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, rising global commodity prices and domestic industries such as computing power drove the increase. Improving supply-demand dynamics in key sectors also helped. For more on the latest CPI and PPI numbers, Gasturi McNamara spoke with Professor Zhang Gong at the University of International Business and Economics.
Now let's talk about CPI, which has maintained moderate recovery in April. What would you say are the core driving factors behind this, and how would you evaluate China's economic recovery?
Well, I think primarily reflects the coming back of positive demand sentiment. I think consumer confidence is coming back. There's also the expectation that we are going to be continuing to get into the CPI positive territory. So the expectation is that prices might go up a little bit in the future. So I think consumers are ready to spend money. I think from a budget perspective, I think people have money in the bank. I mean, look at the aggregate savings in China right now in the bank. It's actually an all-time high. So I think people do have the money and they do have a reason to go out and spend the money. I think a little bit of a CPI in positive territory is actually a very good thing. I think it leads people to be more willing to spend their money as opposed to just put money in the bank. So I think it's a very good development right now. typically, from as economists, from economics point of view, usually a inflation number, which is measured by CPI, less than 4% is regarded as fairly healthy. I think 4% is maybe a little bit too high. I think around 3%, 2%. These are very reasonable numbers. Historically, there are ample empirical evidence to show that this level of low inflation is actually quite healthy. So I think we are right there. I think we are probably right now it's less than 2% or around 2%. I think keeping this level is actually pretty healthy for the economy.
That was Professor Zhang Gong at the University of International Business and Economics. China's new energy vehicle production, sales, and exports all recorded steady growth in April. According to the China Association of Automobile Manufacturers, the production of NEVs grew 5.5% on a yearly basis, while sales increased 9.7%, both surpassing 1.3 million units. Sales of NEVs accounted for 53.2% of the total new vehicle sales in the month. In terms of exports, 430,000 NEVs were shipped overseas, a yearly increase of 110%. In the first 4 months of the year, the country's NEV exports totaled nearly 1.4 million units, up 120% from the same period last year. China's increasing efforts to boost consumer spending, aiming to unleash the potential and vitality of its vast markets. Several new brands have opened their first stores across the country. In the first quarter, Nanjing witnessed 60 domestic and international brands open their first local stores. Chengdu has introduced more than 160 stores with over 200 debut events. New business models are also boosting consumer spending. Huainan is integrating shopping malls and neighborhoods, parks, and sports venues. Over the May Day holiday, the city's sales revenue exceeded 90 million yuan, or about $13.2 million, up over 42% from last year. Historical sites such as Chongqing and Zhengzhou have combined ancient heritage with consumer experiences, creating unique retail, cultural, and creative products and specialty dining. Santing Road Night Market in Yiwu has become a must-visit destination for visitors from home and abroad. The market in the world's capital of small commodities stretches about 350 meters and is home to over 800 stalls. As Yiwu's oldest night market, it offers everything from trendy seasonal t-shirts to delicate hair clips and necklaces, alongside cuisines from across China and around the globe.
It really feels really great to be here and to see everyone shopping around. Everyone is really happy, enjoying a lot of shopping here, so it feels really good.
At other night markets, there are basically only food stalls or just entertainment. But at this night market, there is everything from food to clothing. So many choices.
The market management, in collaboration with local communities, invites residents and tourists to perform on stage. There are also other services available at the night market, including free haircuts and book exchanges, allowing visitors to enjoy a special bonus. During this year's 5-day May Day holiday, Santing Road Night Market welcomed over 350,000 visitors. Sales revenue reached nearly 13 million yuan, or about $1.9 million, both hitting record highs. Humble regional food brands from China's small towns have scaled into billion-yuan industries, creating hundreds of thousands of jobs and drawing millions of tourists. They include a popular franchise that sells snacks and delicacies from Shaxian district in eastern China. This is an AI-generated report.
Walk through any Chinese city, and you'll likely spot restaurants bearing this logo, Shaxian Delicacies, a sign of tasty food at fair prices. 1 plate of mixed noodles, 1 bowl of wonton, 1 pot of soup, and 9 steamed dumplings, all for 47 yuan. That's less than $7. With simple, down-to-earth flavors and an extensive menu, Shaxian Delicacies have captured the nation's taste buds. Today, it operates in nearly 100,000 locations, more than McDonald's and KFC combined. For many customers, Shaxian is seen as a convenient and affordable dining option.
Fast, easy, and tasty. The food quality is good, and the prices are reasonable, affordable for most people. Our snacks are made with real, high-quality ingredients. The flavors are relatively light, making them easy for the public to enjoy.
Located on a busy street, this restaurant is filled with people who work nearby during lunch hours.
Daily revenue is around 4,000 yuan on weekdays and 3,000 yuan on weekends.
Wang Xiaozhong, a Shaxian native who has run this restaurant for 3 years, is one of many operators of this local snack eatery. The Shaxian delicacies business not only creates local jobs, but also draws people from across the country to its standardized, large-scale training programs.
Our goal is to cultivate well-rounded personnel in cooking, serving, brand promotion, operations management, quality improvement, and new product development, all to support high-quality industry growth through standardization. We have held 21 training sessions from last year to this year.
To date, Shaxian Delicacies generates over 55 billion yuan in annual revenue and has more than 300,000 people working in the business. Shaxian is not the only regional food brand driving local economic growth. During the recent Labor Day holiday, tourists made an estimated 2.7 million trips to Yiyang, Hunan province, just for a taste of its barbecue. The industry there has grown into a chain worth over 3 billion yuan. Meanwhile, in Liuzhou, Guangxi Autonomous Region, the total integrated industrial chain sales revenue of Luosafen, a snail rice noodle known for its sour and spicy flavor, exceeded 81 billion yuan. These numbers don't come from factory floors or tower over city skylines. They come from woks, steamers, and street corner grills. Born in small towns but scaled into billion industries, China's regional food brands have proven that the country's most dynamic economic engines sometimes start with the simplest ingredient, a good meal at fair prices.
And that was a report on a popular franchise that sells snacks and delicacies from eastern China. And finally, Brazil's policy of granting visa-free entry to Chinese citizens holding ordinary passports takes effect on Monday. Eligible travelers may stay in the country for up to 30 days per visit. On the first day of the policy's implementation, Shanghai Pudong International Airport saw the first groups of outbound travelers. The city's travel agencies have adjusted their South American travel product offerings, aiming to boost sales. In recent years, Brazil has gradually become a popular choice for Chinese residents. Beyond growing tourism demand, business travel has also become a major beneficiary of this visa-free policy. Meanwhile, China's visa-free policy for Brazil is also approaching its first anniversary. Since May the 31st last year, China has implemented a pilot visa-free policy for Brazilian citizens holding ordinary passports. According to Shanghai's border inspection authorities, as of Monday, around 85,000 Brazilian nationals have entered and exited China through Shanghai ports, marking a yearly increase of nearly 40%.
All right, thank you very much. That's Tianyu with Business. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, and coming up in sports, China extends an impressive winning streak at the World Table Tennis Championships.
Sideline Story brings you all things sports related. The hottest topics, latest events, juiciest stories, all with a very personal take. Subscribe to Sideline Story Podcast for heated sports discussions covering events that are happening in China and around the world.
47 past now, and turning to sports. Here's Youngguang.
Thank you, Shane. We begin with table tennis in London. China has secured a record-extending 12th consecutive men's team title at World Table Tennis Championships, sweeping Japan 3-0, powered by another remarkable comeback from Liang Jinquan. Just one day after rallying from 2 games down against Alex Lepuan in the semifinals, Liang repeated defeat against Tomokazu Harimoto. Wang Chuqin overcame Sora Matsushima in 4 games. After dropping the opener, Wang regained control to win 3 straight and move China within sight of the title.
I think Liang's victory is vital to the entire series. It brought the whole team a winning momentum, and I rode that momentum to the second victory.
Lin Shidong sealed victory, defeating Shinsuke Togami in 4 games in the third rubber. With this win, China continues its unbeaten run in the men's team event since 2001. On the women's side, China also claimed the title after a dramatic 5-match comeback win over Japan. It marks a record-extending 24th Kobylin Cup triumph, extending a dominance that has lasted since 2012. Switching to football, Barcelona has captured its 29th La Liga title after defeating Real Madrid 2-0 in a decisive Clásico clash. Marcus Rashford and Ferran Torres struck in the first half to seal back-to-back league crowns for Hansi Flick's side and condemn Madrid to a trophy-laden season. The victory moved Barca an unassailable 14 points clear with the 3 matches remaining. It was only the second time a Clásico directly decided the La Liga title. Barca coach Hansi Flick praised his players after the triumph.
I'm proud, I never will forget this day, never. And I'm happy about this, and the atmosphere in this stadium is unbelievable. And if you think, okay, there are 40,000 more at the end, it's unbelievable, it's amazing.
Barcelona remains on course for a 100-point season, while Real Madrid now face a major summer overhaul, with the former coach Jose Mourinho already linked to a possible return. In the NBA, the Minnesota Timberwolves leveled their second-round playoff series against the San Antonio Spurs with a 114-109 victory, following the shocking ejection of star Victor Wembanyama early in the second quarter of Game 4. Naz Reid, who took an elbow from Wembanyama, finished with 15 points and 9 rebounds. Anthony Edwards' clutch three-pointer with 5 minutes left gave the Wolves their first lead since the third quarter. He had 16 of his 36 points in the fourth quarter. Reid's follow shot pushed the lead to 7, but Dylan Harper brought the Spurs within 3. Ayo Dosunmu iced the win with 2 free throws with 10 seconds left, tying the series at 2 wins apiece. Game 5 shifts to San Antonio on Tuesday, with Wembanyama status pending league review. In the CBA, the Shenzhen Avatars edged the Zhejiang Golden Bulls 95-91 to secure a semi-final spot in the playoffs. Shenzhen built an early lead, going up 35-26 in the second quarter, with Lu Pengyu stretching the advantage to 11 points with a smooth layup. Zhejiang fought back in the fourth with Chen Shuaipeng's three-point play, cutting the deficit to 7 and sparking hopes of a comeback. But He Xining stole the show, hitting 4 clutch three-pointers in the final minutes. With a team-high 23 points, the reigning regular season MVP sealed victory for Shenzhen. China's Zhao Yichang smashed the men's speed climbing world record again with a blistering time of 4.54 seconds before storming to victory at the World Climbing Series stop in Wujiang. The 16-year-old eclipsed his previous record of 4.58 seconds, set just last month at Asian Beach Games in Sanya.
At that moment, I was no longer thinking about winning or losing. I just felt that I could climb really fast. Although I was very excited, I kept telling myself to stay calm and stay focused. I felt a lot of grip and power in my hands.
Competing in his first senior international season, Zhao continues his meteoric rise after capturing 3 World Junior titles. And finally, Li Mengqi claimed a remarkable double victory at Archery World Cup, winning the men's individual and mixed team recurve events, as China collected 2 golds and 2 silvers in Shanghai. Back on home soil after a record-breaking 3-gold haul in Puebla, Mexico, China maintained its dominant form. Team manager Mu Yong praised the young squad.
This year's team is completely new. At the Shanghai World Cup, our average age was under 20, the youngest in our history. Facing all the top competitors at home, these young athletes performed brilliantly. China's archery future looks very promising.
The circuit moves to Antalya, Turkey next month.
All right, thank you very much. That's Yang Guang with sports. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, and coming up in culture and entertainment, Shanghai's cooperation with Expo 2027 in Belgrade.
From north to south, east to west, people in China are chasing their dreams and leaving their mark. Want to know how they beat the odds and made a difference? Footprints brings you the true life stories of their journeys.
53 past now, turning to culture and entertainment. Shanghai's World Expo Museum has signed an MOU to deepen cooperation and expand participation in Expo 2027 Belgrade. The specialized expo-themed Play for Humanity, Sport and Music for All will run from May to August next year in the Serbian capital, with more than 130 countries already confirmed. Covering around 330 square meters, the museum's planned pavilion will feature immersive displays on music, sports, and future cities, underscoring the Expo's role as a laboratory for future societies. Visitors are flocking to the Legoland Shanghai Resort. The signature attraction draws inspiration from the classic Journey to the West. B-Ran has more.
Here at Legoland Shanghai, the classic Chinese legend is being rebuilt brick by brick. From giant Lego-built mountains to colorful adventure zones, the Monkey Kid-themed area at Legoland Shanghai Resort turns a centuries-old Chinese story into an interactive experience. Children climb through flower-filled mountain settings, board themed rides, and follow the Monkey King's journey in a space designed to feel part theme park, part storybook. For many young visitors, it's not just about watching the story unfold, it's about stepping inside it. Here, you don't just watch Monkey King, you become him. The Monkey Kid areas are turning the classic tale into a hands-on experience and shows how global brands are riding China's theme park economy with local stories. The Monkey King IP combines traditional elements from Journey to the West with a more modern visual style aimed at younger audiences around the world. Inside the park, that translates into interactive shows, character encounters, and hands-on play spaces built around the Monkey King universe.
A lot of children come here with their families during the holiday. We do get tired sometimes, but seeing the smiles on their faces makes it all worth it.
As competition in the theme park industry intensifies, international brands are increasingly looking for ways to connect with local audiences through Chinese culture and storytelling.
Monkey Kid is our first IP inspired by Chinese culture, and Legoland Shanghai is the only park with a dedicated Monkey Kid area. The theme has been hugely popular, and we hope visitors can experience more local culture while having fun.
And beyond entertainment, the trend also reflects a growing confidence in Chinese culture IP. As classic stories once known mainly through books and television are finding new life through immersive attractions, merchandise, and digital experiences. As China's theme park market continues to grow, experiences like these may also shape how the next generation connects with some of the country's oldest stories.
That was B-Ran reporting. A Shanghai museum has begun selling tickets for the world's largest exhibition of ancient American civilizations, titled On Top of the World Tree, Ancient Civilizations of the Americas. The show offers a panoramic look at cultures including the Olmec, Maya, Aztec, and Inca. The exhibition will feature more than 1,100 sets, nearly 3,000 artifacts from the two Latin American countries in collaboration with leading archaeological institutions in Mexico and Peru, as well as top Chinese scholars. 200,000 early bird tickets are now available through the museum's official WeChat account and trip.com. The exhibition opens on July 9th at Shanghai Museum on People's Square, and it'll last until November of next year. We're at 57 past the hour. Checking the forecast before we go. Beijing's cloudy overnight. It's down to 16. Tuesday will be sunny and 31 degrees. Shanghai's cloudy overnight and through tomorrow, a low of 20 and a high of 31. Chongqing will be overcast and down to 20, then a light rainfall and 26. Nanchang's getting clouds tonight and tomorrow, a low of 19 and a high of 30. Lhasa will also be cloudy overnight and through tomorrow. The low is 4 degrees, the high is 22. Islamabad will see moderate rainfall and 22 this evening. Tuesday, a light rain, and 34. That's it for this edition of the Beijing Hour. Making news today, the U.S. president's arriving in China this week for a state visit, discussing major issues of bilateral relations and global peace and development with the Chinese leader. And the Tianzhou 10 cargo craft is rendezvoused with China's Tiangong Space Station. On behalf of the staff, this is Shane Bigham in the Chinese capital, hoping you'll join us for the next edition of the Beijing Hour and open a window to the world together.
Find the Beijing Hour at precisely 6 p.m. Beijing time. We meet you on podcast and on air every weekday. The Beijing Hour, your window on China and the rest of the world.
He can't live without the Yellow River in his eyes.
The Yellow River is so noble and elegant.
Both my grandpa and dad made a living from the river.
Would you like to move away from the Yellow River?
I don't think I will. I love it so much.
The Yellow River, the second longest river in China, is regarded as a shaping force in the history, economy and culture of northern China. Today, about 100 million people live within its water basin, making up nearly 9% of the country's population. How is climate change felt at its headwaters, and what are the locals doing to cope with it? What are the descendants of the boatmen doing? What has kept some people from leaving their home village by the river, and what has drawn others back? Could the fading fishing community revive in a time of digital transformation? From 2021 to 2024, our reporters visited the upper, middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River, talked to the herders, farmers, boatmen, fishermen and eco-activists who share a close bond with the river, and present their stories in pictures, podcasts and videos, all in our 12-part series, The Yellow River Mosaic, available only on CGTN Radio